Time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catafamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it is great to have you in studio with us today. We're sitting down with the new Yavapai County Sheriff's Office spokesperson, Kristin Greene. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
December, Dwight Devlin was in here, and I said goodbye after all the years we've been working together. And I said, so who's coming in? And they said they didn't know yet. And then we've had such a crazy wildfire season this year that it was just unbelievable, the wildfire season we had. So I think Scott Reed, who is probably the person, did you talk to Scott Reed for the job? Is he in charge of hiring?
He was actually filling in until they found someone to fill the position that I have now. And now he's been moved back to his regular duties, and I'm sure he's quite happy to be back to his regular duties.
Yeah, I know Chris and Scott were kind of tossing back and forth on what was going on. We had Catch 22 going on, which was fantastic. And then the very first day of Catch 22, Robert Pearson was captured. Right. We should bring that up today and talk about the Catch 22 and Robert Pearson. You could tell us a little bit more about that. And then to start off with, I want to just know, because when Dwight left, I was like, wow, you know, that is quite a big job to fill. And Kristin Greene's here to fill it. So tell us about yourself. Where are you from and how'd you get here?
Well, I have been in Phoenix the last 26 years. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I am a government relations executive as a trade, which means I have been lobbying for years, whether it's for cities, states, federal. But when you work in government relations, people think it's only with the actual government folks, but there's a lot more to it, which includes a lot of public affairs, media relations, crisis communications, all of those things I've worked on ballot initiatives, statewide ballot initiatives over the years. So learning how to communicate.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, you're right.
You know, I started out, I've worked for 2 different municipalities down in the Valley, and I was their in-house lobbyist. One of them did all their federal work, which is where I started working with public safety. And I did a lot of work with public safety around the country, actually. And this position, I saw an ad for it. And at first, it wasn't something I was thinking that I wanted.
I was going to ask you, with what you were doing, this seems a little bit different.
It seemed that way at first. You know, I've had my own company for years where I had a bunch of clients, and, you know, COVID hit everyone a little bit differently.
Right. And
I started thinking a little bit about, well, what do I want to do next? I saw this ad and I thought, I'm not sure this is something I really want. But on the other hand, I'm just going to go up and see what they say. Well, 2 hours I sat with Sheriff Rhodes and Chief Deputy Noonan, and we talked and talked and talked. And by the time I left that room, I thought, I want this position. I want to do this, and I want to work for these 2 men. So it was, and then I had to go home and tell my husband and our kids, we're packing up and moving to Prescott.
Oh, wow. Okay. But so what is it about the job for YCSO that really drew you in and said, okay, that's the nail in the coffin, that's the one I want, I'm going to do this job right here?
I think 2 things.
Okay.
One was that this isn't a PIO position that Sheriff Rhodes has created. He decided after Dwight left that he was going to switch things up. Traditionally, law enforcement agencies have an officer put out press releases that are facts and statistics, and really that's it. They're police officers, that's how they think. Sheriff Rhodes decided what he wanted to do was to create a public affairs division that wasn't staffed by law enforcement folks who had a different perspective of how the public sees law enforcement.
Really? Okay, keep talking. This is interesting.
And his idea is that he doesn't want just information to flow from his office to the public. He wants to make sure that this time the public gets information back to him that he needs to have. And part of that is I just hired 2 public affairs coordinators. One will be based in the Verde Valley, and one's going to be based around Prescott, but the rest of the county will be covered. Their job solely is to be in the community, to be at HOA meetings, to be at community meetings, to be anywhere that they are asked, so that they can be present to hear what the community has to say, what they think the sheriff needs to hear what people are happy with, what they're unhappy with, what they're most interested in, what are they most concerned with, so that he can turn around and then process that information and figure out what he needs to do to structure his office. The bigger component of that, too, that was really intriguing to me was that he wants to tell more than the statistics. He wants to tell stories about what YCSO is. It's not just folks who write traffic tickets and do drug busts, though that's important. It's so much more. And so when he started telling me about some of his visions of not only the department, but of how he sees the future of law enforcement, which includes, I think a lot of folks know this, but they might not, the integration of mental health into law enforcement.
We've done shows on this. Yes, it's a very good program here.
Yes, and him being one of the first, if maybe the first sheriff to ever want to co-locate a mental health facility right next to the jail and the court so that everyone gets screened in intake for substance abuse issues, mental health issues, and has help on their way out. He started talking to me about this, and I realized, wow, this is a man who has visions they're bigger than you would normally think of law enforcement. I came from the outside. I did a lot of work with fire departments, so my vision of law enforcement was very minuscule. And here he was opening it up completely. And so not only did I really think I really would like to work with this man because I really like his visions, but then he said, I want to create this public affairs division, and I'm going to let you figure out how it works. It's a little hard to turn down. So I went from thinking I just wanted to see what this was to I think we're going to move and take this job. So
the people that you hired to go to the community meetings, I think that's great. So so let's say Cornville's going to have a community meeting tonight, and so would that liaison go to that meeting and represent the sheriff's office, or are you just kind of there to sit and take a listen and see what's going on and then report back? Both. It
depends. If a community group wants somebody from the sheriff's office to come talk about water safety or come talk about something, we will set up a neighborhood watch, do any of those things, they absolutely will. But we also will come and sit and listen again to make sure that the public knows that there's somebody that they can reach out to get to the sheriff. Because I think a lot of times we think, oh, the sheriff, and he's an elected official and we can't get to him, and you know, so
the top cop in the county. And
exactly.
That's nice, though. I like to hear that.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited about how this is going to work, and that we also wanted to make sure that all the smaller communities in Yavapai County, it's not just Prescott and Camp Verde and Sedona. You know, there's Ash Fork, there's Black
Rimrock, Lake Montezuma. Yeah.
Yes, we want to make sure that they're covered as well. So even though the two coordinators will have a base in Prescott and Verde, they're going to be all over because we know that this county is huge, and that there are folks who don't just live in Sedona and Prescott.
Huge is right. Yeah. So how are you liking it so far? Because you sent me a press release a few weeks ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and then I was going to try to talk to you then, but you were going to be gone for a week because you had something that you had scheduled before, and now you're back. So now you're back, and so how's it been? What do you think? I can tell you that I haven't been this excited about a job in years. You get very used to what you do for a living. It gets comfortable.
It gets comfortable, and it gets rote. And this was something completely different. And this is going to sound, cliche, but the people I'm working with are phenomenal. I've never been more welcomed anywhere, ever. Even with my family, I don't think. They're amazing. And the sheer diversity of topics that have been thrown at me in the first 3 weeks between the fires and catching a fugitive that's been on the loose for 3 years, and unfortunately with this missing teenager, there's a lot going on, but right now I'm having the time of my life.
That's fantastic. All right, let's take our first break, okay?
Sure.
New Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, is it spokesperson? We call you spokesperson? Or
Public Affairs Supervisor.
Public Affairs Supervisor, Kristin Greene in studio. Stick around, we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Terrifying Jobs, Bull Rider, take 2.
Cliff, this seems like a really terrifying job. Why do you do it?
I love protecting the bull riders when they get bucked up.
How big are these bulls?
12 to 2,200 pounds of pure muscle.
You're not cowed by any of this, obviously. Is there anything that scares you?
Yeah, distracted drivers terrify me.
Two things we can count on every year.
A new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
The EPA says C&B Construction ranks in the top 1% nationally. C&B Construction invites you to see what energy efficiency and indoor air quality can be. We have won another Department of Energy Innovation Award, and C&B Construction is the only contractor in the country to win 6 consecutive EPA Indoor Air Plus awards. Experience our zero-energy, move-in ready homes at Crossroads at Mingus.
C&B Construction, locally respected, nationally recognized. Find out more at C&B Homes.com.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9, late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're talking with Yavapai County Sheriff's Office Public Affairs Director, Supervisor Kristin Greene. And good to have you back in studio with us today. So we found out where you're from, how you got here, how long you've been in the state of Arizona. So you're not unfamiliar with the Prescott area. You probably vacation
not at
up
all.
here all the time or travel up here.
Yeah. The occasional weekends, and yes, I've always loved it up here. I never thought I'd live here, but I'm fascinated with history, so I love the fact that this was the territorial capital. And I used to joke saying, considering I have to work at the state capitol all the time, why couldn't they have it in Prescott instead of in Phoenix?
Well, we used to. Let's talk about the first press release you sent me. Was a pretty exciting press release because Chris Wilson from Yavapai Silent Witness, the director of that, he sent us out the Catch-22 program, which runs July 1st through July 22nd every year. So day number 1 was Robert Pearsall, and we've been looking for Robert Pearsall for quite some time. People remember he, for unknown reasons, went up to a guy who was camping here in the Verde Valley and beat him about the head with a board.
Yes.
Tore part of his ear off, concussions, split his head open, pretty bad, serious injuries. Went to trial. And then took off before the trial was over.
Correct.
And poof, Robert Pearsall disappears. And working with Dwight and Chris on this during the last couple of years while he's been on the lam, on the run, or whatever we call that now, absconded, I've been watching the reward for him increase from the $500 reward now. I think it was the $3,000 cash reward back on July 1st we were offering for him. But all of a sudden, Robert Pearsall popped up. And I thought for sure he was going to be a long, long ways away.
Everyone did.
But he wasn't very far away at all. So can you give us a little background on his capture?
Sure. So Robert Pearsall, we don't know where he's been in the last 3 years. He's been, as you said, he absconded 3 years ago. He was out on bond, and then he was actually convicted of first-degree attempted murder and first-degree assault while he was on the run. He was stopped in a routine traffic stop by a Pearson police officer. Mr. Pearsall was riding a moped.
Okay.
And the officer went up and started to ask him what his identity was. And at that point, Mr. Pearsall started the moped and took off. So
but not very fast. I can't imagine he was going super fast, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
But the police officer followed him, and then Mr. Pearsall ditched the moped and ended up actually assaulting the police officer when they were tussling.
Oh, really? That's too bad.
And which is one of the new charges that he has against him,
He's
amongst
making life
others.
Worse for himself here.
Exactly.
Right?
He was armed. So once the Pearson police officer, who obviously did an amazing job, brought him in to book him, he actually figured out who Mr. Pearsall was and said, "Oh wow, we have this felon," and it's amazing that he stayed right here in town, essentially.
Right, yeah. Payson's literally about an hour drive away, hour and a half away, yeah.
Exactly. So he's in custody in Yavapai County, and so we're extremely happy to have him off the streets.
But we don't know where he's been.
We don't know where he's been yet. Who knows if he'll ever tell anybody?
Right,
but there've been sightings. Some of the law enforcement agencies have heard ways that he's been disguising himself over the years, but just never quite were able to get him.
I think it's really amazing how somebody can literally go 60 miles away from here and just disappear, assuming he's been there for the 3 years that he's been there, assuming that. But I look at the mugshot that you sent along with the press release, and really, other than the goatee and mustache, he doesn't look very different at all to me. So it's amazing to me how Robert Pearsall, somebody who is a familiar name in the Verde Valley, would not be such a familiar name in the Payson area, which of course he's probably not using the same name while he's over there. But I'm a little surprised that he made it this long without being recognized. Or maybe he was gone for a while and then came back into the area.
And who knows, he could have worn a fake mustache this whole time.
Sure. And the moped let him down.
The moped let him down.
It is just not fast enough.
No, apparently not.
We've had funny cases over the years I've done this, and it's always interesting to hear these different stories about how
it is, and to think this, and it's we can make light of it. We know how serious this man, how dangerous he is. But the idea that after all this time you could have made it to Dubai by now, but you got stopped on a moped.
You got stopped and caught on a moped. All right.
Criminals aren't the smartest.
No. Hopefully he'll get an education while he's in there. Other thing, this year. Well, you're from Arizona. You've lived here, so you saw the wildfire season that we had this year, and thank God it's kind of, we can't say it's over because wildfire season's year-round, but with the amount of rain we've got, the National Weather Service just put something out that said that 98% of the state is saturated.
Yes.
Which is an amazing thing. It's saturated. But wildfire season was one of, this year is, it's hard to explain it from my standpoint. It was just so many fires. We had the human-caused fires, which were horrible. But then when the lightning came, the first couple of weeks of monsoons, everybody's like, oh, the monsoon's here, the monsoon's here. But I'm always like, oh, no, the dry lightning's here, the dry lightning's here. And that's what I think about. And sure enough, we had the Raphael fire start up between here and Flagstaff, and then we had the Backbone fire between Camp Verde and Payson. And then we had the Baghdad fire, which was in the town of Baghdad.
And the Tiger fire, which was up in...
And the Tiger fire.
So tons of them.
It seemed like each fire, the Ready, Set, Go, Code Red, really paid off, and they were encouraging everybody to get signed up for that Code Red. And I have never done as many Ready, Set, Go messages that I did this year during the summer. It got to the point where there were so many that I would literally be able to fill up 3 minutes of newscast time just talking about, you're on Ready, you're on Set, you're on Go. The next hour it could change. Okay, you're no longer on Ready, you're off that, but now you're on Set. So it got to the point where I was sending people to Yavapai County Sheriff's Office Facebook page or website or to the Coconino County. And at the same time, when they get there, they can see that Code Red sign up. So I just wanted you to reiterate for me and help me with this, but Code Red is extremely important for people to have.
Coming from outside of Preston and being down in Phoenix, where the wildfires aren't as much of an issue as they are up here, I got a real lesson in Code Red and how important it is and how vital it is for everyone to sign up for it, because just like you said, the status can switch from, just get your things ready just in case, to 1 minute later saying you need to evacuate right now.
Yeah.
And if you don't have Code Red, you might be relying on a neighbor, or we don't. Correct.
And I'm putting it together, and then I get it on the air. But then again, I'm not getting it in real time. Like the person can be on the phone, say you are on go status. It could be 20 minutes before my newscast airs.
That's exactly right. And 20 minutes, as we've seen, can make all of the difference. So the sheriff at Rhodes and everyone really does encourage as many people as possible to get onto Code Red, because it literally can save your life and your family's life.
All right, let's take our second break. And it's not just about, it's any kind of emergency that's going on is when, you'll get your Code Red message. Spokesperson, Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, PIO Director, Kristin Greene. Stick around. Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
Who Who doesn't dream of home improvements? Perhaps your kitchen, the real living room. Maybe the bathroom, where you bookend your day. Langstrand Contracting is your one-stop shop from tear down to finishing touches. With 35 years of experience, Chris and his team will work with you to match your family's style and budget. Call Langstrand Contracting today for guidance in bringing your vision to life.
Hi, this is Greg at Verde Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verde Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle, get Gettles.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a few minutes left in the program. Kristen, we have a national night out on Prescott Courthouse Square coming up very shortly.
Yes, this Friday night. Starting around 6 o'clock. We'll have National Night Out is actually August 3rd. And it is what it says, a national night out, communities to get together. And here we're going to have music. We're going to have all sorts of folks from different law enforcement agencies that you can come and ask questions about. You can see some of our canines. There'll be some fun for the kids. It'll be a good time. Canines tend to be the popular. Absolutely. Yeah, going in and seeing the canines and the canine handlers are really a big deal for a lot of folks. Yeah. Looks like the other agencies that are going to be there at the Prescott Courthouse Square Friday at 6 p.m. is Prescott Police, Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, Tribal Police Departments, and then the Attorney General's office is going to be there as well. Yep, and a number of community organizations will be there as well. All right. So. And this is just a kickoff event. This is just the kickoff event. Okay, so I guess if people want more information about it, they could probably come to the YCSO website if they wanted to set up. It's kind of late to be setting up a National Night Out event on August 3rd. I mean, there's a little time. There is a little time. If folks want to get some information about it, they can certainly contact us and we can help them, that's for sure. Like, I think the idea is for National Night Out is just to neighbors getting to know their neighbors. Correct. And where I live, in our neighborhood, we've gotten to know all the neighbors right around us, which is pretty nice to be able to say I know my neighbors. It is, and it's also a safety issue. Being able to know your neighbors and when they're out of town, or you can. It's easier to be able to patrol your own neighborhood and keep an eye out. So knowing your neighbors is a good thing. Yeah, I've told both my neighbors. I know since I get home early in the day because my day starts so early. I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, you'll be gone. I'll watch your house. Exactly. I'll check on it and see what's going on. Exactly. But yeah, watching the neighborhood, it's a good way to get involved with your neighborhood and get to know your neighbors. It is. And have some fun. Okay, so we're out of time, but this is not the last time I speak to you. I can tell you that for sure. And I really appreciate you giving me this chance. I lean on the sheriff's office a lot, so the sheriff's office should lean back on us, and we'll just keep the teamwork going. Sounds good to me. YCSOAZ.gov is the website, YCSOAZ.gov. That is today's Countywide. As always, we thank you for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.